I don't care.
Now we're recording.
Oh, yeah, it was a weird thing.
I guess we can do what we try to keep it to an hour and 10, something like that. But you guys have the timer up on the Skype?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. If you guys, so you did see the link. It did work. Good. Okay. Just double checking. What do I need to do? I forgot. Oh, I guess we're already recording. I don't have to do anything, do I? Rock on. Wow, you'd think I haven't done this before.
Hey, it's every time's the first time.
Yeah. You ready?
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us today here on the FPL Roundtable, where the extremes of stupidity and genius meet. It's our 10th show, but it really doesn't feel like any of us are near a perfect 10, much like Bo Derek back in 79 in the romantic comedy 10. Now, I might be dating myself just a little bit there, but those dreadlocks, that bathing suit, the beach, you Google it if you have to, right? Anyways, to get started, let's go around the table and say hello to Casey. You can find him at FPL_tornado. Casey, welcome on the, I forgot what they call that tornado scale. The you know what I'm talking about. On a scale of 1 to
scale?
There you go. What is your, on a scale of 1 to 10, where did your game week fall this week?
A 5.
A 5.
I was like 1 point above the average, so I guess 5.
How did you do this week? I mean, point wise, how did you do?
Yeah, I mean, 53 points. My team has just kind of been doing this every week. Just nothing spectacular. I can't get a haul from anyone, let alone my captain. So
you can't get no satisfaction, like the Rolling Stones sing, right?
Basically, yeah. It's just kind of been like that so far. I mean, I feel like I guess the long arm or the arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice. Well, maybe the arc of the season is long, but it bends towards green arrows. I mean, that's about all I can look for here.
Hey, on a positive note, though, you captain Sterling. I mean,
I did. It's well, I think I had 2 captain. Or no, I guess I got vice captain Salah previously. But yeah, I mean, it's the first time that I've correctly captained my Craptain. That's about what my
Craptained.
I've been crafting the people. That's what I've done this whole year. No, I mean, I think it's the first time I've captained the highest, second highest scoring player, I guess, in my team. But that's about how my season has gone. So whatever.
I hear you. I'm right there with you. But let's talk to somebody who's just a couple of spots above us. Gabe, welcome to the roundtable today. You can find him on Twitter at FPL Lens. Gabe, welcome. 1 to 10, where did your game week rank?
I'd say the usual. I mean, 3, 4. Yeah, I think I oscillate between 3 and 7, usually between 4 and 6. But I guess I don't know, 3 or 4. 49 points minus 4. Game week rank of 4 million. I dropped 150,000 spots down to 357K. It doesn't feel terrible. Kind of like my season. It feels like season feels like, when you feel like you're getting sick, and then it never quite comes, but you never quite feel right either. That's what this season feels like. I think the season of the Craptains is a perfect name for this season so far.
I think we have this. I think we have the name of our episode right now. The season of the Craptains.
Season of the Craptains.
See if we can get that trending on Twitter, right?
Exactly. Hashtag that thing.
There you go.
And so, my transfers didn't really work out, but I'm not really upset with them either. Aurier, poor Aurier, I tweeted this. The guy's having a bad week. He was so bad today against Bayern. Then the red card,
He's not banging Eriksen's wife too, is he?
I hope he's getting something good in life, because at this rate, he's a professional footballer. I actually feel bad for. Son got pulled wide in that game when they went a man down, and he was my captain. happy he got me at least a return. Had Sterling and De Bruyne. Obviously, in hindsight, I should have captained them. Alexander Arnold and Soyuncu are the other two returners of my team. How can you predict Tammy Abraham missing 4 big chances?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
Salah missed 1. I think Mane missed 2. Sterling missed 1. Son missed
stop.
1.
You can stop.
Sorry. I'll stop. Thank you.
I mean, you're running right down my team. It's like, okay, nope. Okay, nope. Okay, nope. Yeah.
No, and that was just sliding to a dark spot anyway. So thanks for rescuing.
With everything that's happened through 7 weeks, so 352 compared to where Casey and I are at, not too bad, all things considered. 415 in your overall score.
Yeah,
So.
And that's been kind of I've stayed within kind of the characteristics of my season so far. 49 points or 48 points is my lowest game week score so far this season. That was in game week 5, and 83 is my highest, and that was in game week 1. So I'm bouncing around the middle there, and I think that feels okay for this time of year, but it's just not very fun or satisfying,
Oh yeah, I know. You just call me Mr. Average here. I'm averaging like 56 points a week. I'm close to that 60. The only score that impressed me, again, like you, the first week, 84 points. After that, it's been all downhill. But I do have a little bit of positive to take some solace in that bringing Alexander Arnold and Soy Sauce there from Leicester City picked me 12 points. So that was my positive of the week. Sterling De Bruyne, a combination of 16. I had the captain on, and we can all play captain hindsight here. I had the captain on De Bruyne all week. On Twitter, I was talking up the hashtag always captain Salah, and figured I was going to captain him. But then come Friday evening, I put it on Abraham. I figured that Sheffield United were probably going to sit back and put 11 behind the ball. And I just didn't like his chances and talked to a couple of people. So I said, what the hell? Let's move it on Abraham. And, I didn't. Like you said, 4 big chances missed and whopping 4 points for my captain. That's 4 captain failures in a row now of 2, 4, 4, and 6, I think it is. Or 6, 4, 4, 2, something like that. But a combination of it. And it's hurt. I mean, 51 points on the week. So, right on the average, small red arrow. I'm on the wrong side of a million again. But, it's not all that bad because I know I'm only about 30 points behind 500,000, 35 or 36 behind like the top 150,000. So, it wasn't a good week. It was better than some, but, I do have some positives that I'm looking at here with some of these teams that are about to go on some decent runs that we talked about last week. And we'll probably touch on again here this week as we get into the topic of discussion here on the FPL Roundtable. So my name is Stephen. You can find me at 6goal on Twitter. And not sure, but we may or may not be in for a shark attack later on in the show from Garth. We will give him the link, and maybe he can come on and help guide us, seeing as he finished the week on 69, I believe, coming off the wild card. Captain Vardy, I mean, how lucky can you get as a shark? But he had a good week, very good week. So we're going to actually, before we get into the topic here, I found this post interesting from Eric Freeman, hashtag FPL on Twitter. It was a list of the top 10 FPL players through game week 7. And really no surprise, KDB 63 points, Aguero right behind him at 59. Tied for third, Aubameyang, Salah, Pukki all with 53. Wilson, Abraham, Firmino, Sterling all on 46. And Mane, Mahrez on 45. And the question he asked, how many of these guys have you carried all season, all start? I've only had 5 of them. KDB, Salah, Pukki, and Abraham. Oh, and Sterling, sorry. I've only had 2 from the start, being KDB and Salah. What about you guys? I mean, top 10 players here through 7 weeks and scores ranging from 45 to 63. Casey, how many of these top 10 players have you had so far this season?
Honestly, I don't have the tweet in front of me, so I can't add them up, but it's not. I feel like I've had a pretty large percentage of them for a large percentage of the season, and it's still not helping. So.
If I called you doctor, could you figure it out? No, I'm kidding.
Well, I just need to see. I need to see the list.
Guys, yes, I don't have the link, and I just cut and paste on the the show notes I have here. But I mean, I'm looking at your team. You got at least
Oh, I see it now. Yeah. Okay.
five of them.
Well, I currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. Yeah, and I've had one.
Did you own Aguero at any time?
No.
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 Okay.
I only had 2 of them from the start of the season, though, and I mean, I had KDB very early. I got on him pretty quickly, and because I had wanted to have him in my game week 1 team, and missed the deadline to switch him back in. So I fixed that pretty quickly. So I've had him most of the season, but I just haven't captained him, and I think that's kind of the difference between, hanging around in an okay position. Certainly not a disastrous season. I know a lot of people are in like the 2 to 3 million range overall rank. Some traditionally very strong players. So I mean, I'm doing better than them, and that's because I think I've hopped on the correct players. I just either haven't hopped on them. I've been 1 week too late. Maybe I've been wanting to make a transfer for a hit and decided to wait a week, so I didn't have to make a hit, and then I miss a lot of points because of that. I think I've also it's just been timing. The timing's been just slightly off this year, and then the captaincy. That's really kind of where my season's gone wrong so far. It's just picking the wrong captains. I don't think I've ever captained the highest scoring player in my team. I think this is the first time I even captained the second highest scoring player in my team this week, and that was a 7-pointer. So, yeah, it's been pretty bad. Not from a team structure or a team makeup, but it's just been the decisions and the timing, and it's just not quite right. But I would think that over the course of a season that'll kind of even out, and I'll get a little lucky maybe with timing on maybe a run of 5 or 6 game weeks, and all of a sudden, I'm flying. So I would expect that to average out over the season. So I'm not too panicking by any means. It's just a little frustrating when it's happened, 6, 7 game weeks in a row.
The law of fantasy football averages. Those that go up must go down, and those who are surprisingly up will go down. But yeah, no, I do agree. I mean, like I said, I'm on a run of 4, I believe it is, 4, 3 or 4 bad returns, and I've struggled. I'm not going to lie, I've struggled. Gabe, what about you? How many of those top 10 players through 7 have you owned?
9.
9 as in no, I haven't owned any, or 9 as in the number?
9 is in the number.
Holy shit!
The only one I haven't owned is Mahrez. No, sorry. I haven't owned Mahrez and Firmino. Sorry.
Yeah, but there's a tie for 10th, so it's 9 out of the 11.
Right.
That's crazy.
9. I've owned 9. I currently own 6. And that's why it's such a kind of baffling season, right? I feel like, okay, I have all the top scorers, but I'm still. I mean, I'm fine. I'm my rank is fine for this time in the season and everything. But I think to Casey's point, it's about maximizing timing, right? And this season in particular, getting, in every season, right? Maximizing timing and getting a little bit lucky and avoiding bad luck. The poor double red card people come to mind.
Yeah, but you really can't avoid luck. It's either going to be good or bad, and you're going to be on one of the two sides. I mean, how do we avoid bad luck? I mean, what says the week KDB was benched? I mean, what did we have any inkling that Pep was going to sit him for that game? Or Sterling the following week, he was benched, or I forgot which way around it was, but two quality captain options, and 2 weeks in a row, each of them were benched.
And I think you avoid it with planning and team structure and knowing, everyone knows when if you have a pet player, that player will get rested at some point, and that point it might come as a surprise, right? Especially with these higher price players like Sterling, or a player that's so influential like De Bruyne. So you plan it with the Cantwells of the world, right? You bring in more movable players. You bring in Lundstrom as these players are rising.
Wow,
Kelly,
that sounds like a movie title. Meet the Cantwells. Here's our son, John McGinn Cantwell. Yeah, I hear you. Well, and that'll sort of lead us into our topic here. So today we'll examine some highly owned informed players and see who we're prepared to go without uh, in the context of formation and building our teams, not only into the break but out of the break. And it was somewhat surprising to look at the stats and see that only 6% of I don't know if it was the top 10 or excuse me, the top 1K or the all of FPL just used 6%. 6% of managers use a wild card during the first international break. I honestly thought that number would be twice the figure. I thought it'd be about 12%. But again, we see it on Twitter that a lot of people are talking up the wild card here, coming out of the international break in game week 9. But I have highlighted 7 teams, and we talked about this a little bit last week, those teams that have those fixture turns. But there are 7 that appear to have some solid fixtures between game week 8 and game week 12. So it's no surprise to see teams like Chelsea, Arsenal, even though they're pretty crapid, Man United and City included in this group. But it continues to be somewhat surprising to see Everton there. I mean, Everton hasn't done, and I'm sure Casey can vouch for this, haven't done much at either end. West Ham, who lost Fabianski, so I don't know how that's going to affect their defense more than their offense, as well as Norwich City, 3 of 5 of the next games at home. And some of those matchups are quite favorable. So when it comes to players, sometimes the unconventional thinking has been very rewarding. So who would thought that TA would be just ahead of players like John Lundstrom, Eric Peters, and Joel Ward for the top point scorers in defense, let alone Ricardo Pereira. Now, granted, he's had 2 goals in the last 2 weeks, but he now tops the list. The midfield now has 4 premium midfielders holding the top spots. No surprise. KDB, he's up about he's up 0.5, I think it was, from his original price of 9.5. He's the highest scoring player in the game, 63 points, but yet you can't overlook players like Mo Salah, Raheem Sterling, and Sadio Mane. And Son, he's in somewhat of form here, as he looks probably to be the only Spurs player that is a must-own at this point. Up front, it's the Argentine, Sergio Aguero. He continues to get it done, even at a hefty price tag of 12.2, leading all fours. But, I mean, there's Aubameyang. He's got a nice stretch. He's returned goals in last 4, but much like Kane, I mean, Kane, I believe, has hit for 4 as well, both priced at 11, but nobody's talking about Harry Kane here in the next few weeks. Not sure if we can also, we talked about Bobby Firmino last week, not sure we can overlook him or the party animal himself. No, not Spuds McKenzie, but Jamie Vardy, priced at 9.6 and 8.9 respectively. And talking a little bit about formation before I get opinions from you guys. The previous game week, 3-4-3 is a formation that's most highly used. Yes, don't mind my dogs. I'm sort of letting them out right now. 39% of the managers used a 3-4-3 formation in game week 7. 33 opted for a 4-4-2, followed by, much lower percentages for a 3-5-2 and a 4-3-3. But the interesting note is that 71.6% of the managers of the top 1,000 have gone 3-4-3. And since game week 2, this formation continues to be picking up steam to where it is now. So genius or stupidity, we'll find out here as we get rolling into the discussion here on the FPL Roundtable. Gabe, get us started. Where do you want to start with our premiums when it comes to who we may not own here over the next 4 to 5 weeks?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say I don't I think top 1,000 numbers aren't quite as meaningful yet as they will be in the coming weeks. I don't think they've quite kind of settled. We were talking about the ranking there a little bit and how everyone's still kind of crammed in there. But it's still worth looking at in the context of fixtures, right? So obviously we know Chelsea is about to go on a great run, but there are no premiums there, right? So we look, a lot of people right now. I think the popular one is Aubameyang, and I admit I was on him briefly, but I don't know. There's something about Aubameyang. The watching Arsenal play, seeing the stats turns me on to Aubameyang, and then when I watch Arsenal play, I was like, "There's no way I can bring this guy in my team." So that's
7 returns in 7 game weeks.
Yes, and I wish I hadn't seen any 8 returns. 8 returns. So I would say, I mean, for me, I'm keeping obviously the I'm keeping Sterling and De Bruyne. I think they have great fixtures, even with rotation. They're well worth it. Um, we know what Sterling's kind of long-term stats are. So if we see he's not performing now, we should expect some regression, some positive regression. So he should start returning here real soon. He has, I think, the highest XGI of any player, which I find really interesting. I do think he's gotten a little bit unlucky lately, and I'm looking forward to those returns coming back. Salah, when this earlier this season, I went from Salah to Mane, and then because I knew I was going to wild card soon, and now after my wild card, I've gone back to Salah, and I'll probably stick with Salah for the rest of the season. People say tough fixtures because they see them in red. I don't know that. We talked about this last week on the roundtable. Can these premium players, is there such thing as a tough fixture for the premium players? And for these players, Salah, Sterling, De Bruyne, Mane to a certain extent, I think it's different with the defenses, but with those players, those attacking players, Aguero certainly, there really is no bad fixture. So I plan on keeping at least Sterling, Salah, and Kevin De Bruyne for the whole season, as far as the premiums go. That's my plan, obviously, right now. I hope I don't stray from that.
Casey, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I guess my gut tells me that that's probably where I'm headed as well. I still think our sample size is so small, especially with the premium midfielders, to think that over the course of an entire season, that these premium forwards and these mid-price forwards who are kind of currently keeping pace or outscoring them will continue to outscore them. And I just because there's so many different ways to get points for midfielders with the clean sheets, the additional point for goals. I just don't see it lasting. And so I feel like, going off of what our original thinking was at the beginning of the season and then kind of going all into the all out forwards is, might hurt you doubly, because I think over the long term, you'll kind of regress towards, the best midfielders well outpacing the best forwards, just because of their ability to get points in so many other different ways. Aguero last year scored over 20 goals and still only scored about 200 points, and he had 10 assists, so he had over 30 attacking returns, and he still only got about, he got fewer points than Robertson, and he had that many attacking returns. So it's just, even though it feels good, it's like this endorphin rush of they're consistently returning and they're getting goals and they get all these returns for you. In the end, there's just this little bit of I don't know, I'm not exactly sure the best way to put this, but it's like when it comes down to points, it's still these ugly spurious returns from the midfielders, that might not be as consistent, will actually still get you more points over a long period of time. So I don't know. It's tough, because you see Aubameyang, he's scoring every single week, but his points total is still not that impressive. So there's this nice reliability factor to it, which feels good, but as far as points are concerned, doesn't really matter. So I don't know. It's just tough. Having one premium, I'm coming around to the idea of one premium forward for the reliability of attacking returns and the ability to captain them when there are no obvious captains that are from the midfield, or to have them as the vice captain if Sterling, gets benched or something like that would be nice. I still don't see the value there over the course of a long period. And so I feel like just reverting, putting all your money up front is just going to be, I just don't see it. It's going to feel good because they're going to get a lot of goals, but then it's really about points. And so they're still not going to score as many points as Salah.
So I have a question. So since it feels so bad, and then we have respectable ranks and scores, does that mean we're doing this right?
If it feels bad and for whatever reason you're still getting lots of points, then yeah, you're probably doing it right.
It hurts so good.
I don't know. It's so
exactly.
It's so tough
because I feel like shit.
I mean, ultimately, I guess it depends on what you value. If you value like having fun, which who plays this game to have fun? Honestly, it's basically a spreadsheet it's basically taking work home with you. You're supposed to crunch numbers, do math, spend lots and lots of time, and then it's all about the bottom line. It's not about having fun. It's basically your own. No, it's tough. You have to kind of self-reflect on this because it would be really fun to own Aguero as opposed to Sterling, but Aguero, there's almost no chance he's going to outscore Sterling this year. It's just he can get 5 to 10 more attacking returns than Sterling and still get 30 fewer points than Sterling because of the extra points that go into goals and clean sheets and all the other points that Sterling will accumulate over the year. So I don't know. It's tough. It's really tough. You have to kind of do some self-reflection on, what? Do I just want to have fun and go out there and get players that are exciting and fun to watch? In which case, I do not recommend Aubameyang because you're going to watch him and be like, well, it's not him. You're going to watch Arsenal and just be like, I don't care if he's scoring every week. I can't handle watching him.
Okay, but I captain Aubameyang the first 7 weeks of the season. I have 7 successful captains right there. Right? If I captained him week 1 through week 7, every week could be seen.
That gets into this whole idea of bottom line versus having fun, because I guarantee you probably wouldn't have had a whole lot of fun watching Aubameyang every week and get one shot and one goal. That's what last week was. He had one shot the entire game.
I saw it was not fun seeing Aubameyang hand the penalty to Pepe and all of his bonus points with it.
Yeah.
He got. I captained someone. It was a successful captaincy, or was it?
Aubameyang is kind of like it's so weird. It's just like he is getting you points every single week, albeit not big hauls, which is unfortunate because what you'd really want is some braces in there, and he hasn't had any. And now that doesn't mean he won't have those over this upcoming run because their fixtures are so good that maybe over a short period of time it is worth having a premium striker. But
fixtures are so good, but that team is so bad.
Yeah,
so bad.
That's the problem.
And Sheffield, Palace, Wolves, Leicester, those fixtures aren't that good.
Don't forget Bournemouth. They have no defense.
Bournemouth is good.
I'm not on the Rico train. I'm sorry. No Rico Suave for me.
No, I mean, but Bournemouth is a good fixture for Arsenal, but I don't think Sheffield United is. Yeah, I don't. Sheffield United's not great for someone like Aubameyang. No. They don't give up. I don't know. Palace, they're playing good defense. Wolves is probably a good fixture, and then Leicester's not a good fixture either. So I don't know. I think they look good, but they're really not.
So Gabe, who do you think? So not thinking about points. Who do you think would be a really fun premium asset to own? Like one that you're just like, I love watching them every week, and sometimes it doesn't come off, but they are just so good, and they get and they're going to get a lot of chances, and so you're on the edge of your seat because they're always close to scoring. Like who is that player for you?
Like asset, any position?
Yeah, I mean, I would. Probably like midfielders and forwards or something.
Right.
Who do you think like the fun factor as far who do you think would be the most fun to own? Because I guess we have to kind of start making that decision of do you want to have fun or do you want to get lots of points? Because at this point, I wonder if they're mutually exclusive.
I'm gonna pull a Stephen and do a pop culture quote. This girl just wants to have fun. Honestly,
who is it? Who do you want to own to have?
You go Madonna.
Yes.
who is it that, like, what player do you just love watching and they give you lots of chances and then they just miss lots of chances, or they're always in the right position but they never get the ball, or like, who is it that you like to watch?
I mean, Aguero's there for sure. Vardy's a player that's just explosively fun. Like when he hits, it's hilarious. And Mahrez.
I think Mahrez is the perfect example of this, because I mean, he's gotten a lot of points now, but he's only gotten 4 starts in 7. So is he really a smart / safe pick? Because and he's come on in all of those other 3 games that he didn't start. He's come on and gotten
That's the problem.
pointers.
That's the problem.
That's, I think, the problem. So like, he would be a super fun asset to own, but as far as like being responsible, it's kind of like blowing your money on candy as opposed to, like, regular groceries.
You
like,
got all these 80s resets going. That's Bow Wow Wow. I want candy.
Yeah. So there you go. I mean, that's kind of the thing. Like, Mars would be a super fun asset to own, and I don't think he's going to finish the year in the top 10 FPL point scorers, even though I think he's at 10th now. It just, unless there's like a long-term injury to like Bernardo or Raheem, he's just going to get rotated too much, because although Pep trusts him more now, it's not, it's kind of a start every other match sort of trust, as opposed to you're nailed in the team.
Yeah, like you said, if the other 3 matches were 0 minutes, I would bring Mahrez in.
I think so too, because then you just pair him with Lundstrom as first bench, and you get Lundstrom or Cantwell or something off the bench every other week, and you can get their points, and that makes sense. But just all these 1-pointers that he gets you are just.
I think that we've identified. I feel like this is a breakthrough. I feel like the way to have fun in this game is to take those. Like, you need like the FPL designated driver, right? You can't, like, if you can't bring Mahrez in, because Mahrez is going to try to drive home with those little 1-pointers. You need either like the person that goes out and hauls, or does absolutely nothing, and so someone else can come in, and that's like having a safety net for the risks you take.
Yeah, that's how I feel with Sterling, really, because he had that benching, but he didn't come on. You got a lot of people got their vice captain points with De Bruyne, and then they got. But that's the difference between Sterling and Aguero, because Aguero's going to come on when he gets benched. He's going to get 20 minutes, and so that's the struggle with Aguero, and maybe why he's fun to own, but not as great to. Not as great of an FPL. I mean, he's a great FPL asset, but maybe that's why he's not the best premium to own, because of the kind of just the way he is utilized in that team.
And that's why Sterling maybe is the best premium to own, because he doesn't come on. He doesn't make those cameos. If he's rested,
he did today in the Champions League, but that was because it was a 0-0 match and they desperately needed him. But normally in the Premier League, in the 65th minute, they're already up 3-0 and you don't need to bring on Sterling. But in the Champions League, maybe you do, because it was 0-0. But yeah, I mean, Sterling won't come on unless they desperately need him to. He's going to get a full rest, and that's what Pep intends, unless it's an emergency.
And I think that's one of the main arguments I think that's being overlooked, at least in the Twitter community, and on the value of Sterling. That if you have a good bench, if you've planned well, if you have these safety nets and designated drivers, that when Sterling doesn't show up, you could get something. Even if he does come on, obviously you can get something.
So does that make Aguero kind of the premium asset that you can live without? I mean, I'm not saying that people that have him are wrong, but if he feels like one that you could live without. And that's how I feel about Aubameyang too, because he's just ticking along 6-pointers, and
you can get that from Callum Wilson.
Exactly. Yeah. And you can get basically more points unless you're captaining. And I mean, you could get the same kind of returns on average from like a Trent Alexander-Arnold, who will kind of alternate 2-pointers and 12-pointers. And so, just thinking about the different way, or a Pookie. I mean, Pookie's had 3 home matches where he's averaging 13 points per match, and 4 away matches that he's averaging 2 points per match. So you keep that over the year, he's going to keep pace with Aubameyang.
That's an interesting rotation you're looking at. Villa and Man City. It doesn't look all that bad on paper. Man City home to Wolves, Villa home to Brighton.
You mean?
Yeah, I mean, not that I would. No. I'm talking Lundstrom and Mahrez. I mean, not that I would ever consider Mahrez because I don't think he's going to get a playing time over the year. But back in a Mahrez with a Lundstrom who starts every game, and the rotation actually looks pretty good. I mean, defensive wise, I didn't actually check it here, attacking wise, but. Even then, it still doesn't look all that shabby.
Yeah, but the problem is you don't get Mahrez. You don't unless you actually bench Mahrez, and I would never bench Mahrez. That's right. The problem.
You'd have to bench him, or else you're going to get the 1-pointer.
Yeah,
you'll never get Lundstrom.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the other, Stephen? What do you think about the other premium assets? Salah, Mane.
I thought it was interesting.
What do you think? What do you think? Which one of those?
I mean, I was somewhat
freak out if they weren't on your team.
I mean, the whole reason I wildcarded ahead of game week 3, I had no Raheem Sterling. I figured he was a must home, call him essential, whatever you want to call him. 5 goals in 3 games. I figured I missed the bus, and maybe it was poor planning on my part ahead of the season not to have Sterling in there. He was in there at one time because I had talked about going 3 Liverpool defenders and 3 attackers from City, and I think I backed out and I took the cheap ass route, and it failed me. But what surprises me that over the 3 weeks Sterling has lost almost 500,000 owners. I mean 389,000 last week just off a benching. Oh, he's not going to start. Blah blah blah. He'll start midweek, and here we are, and people are looking at Sterling again, and. He picked up a goal, and it's like, well, maybe we shouldn't have come off him. I don't think he should have. He's one of those like Salah. I mean, you've got to own him. I mean, he's highly owned throughout, the league, and I figured he's a must own. Salah owned by 42.5 across FPL. He is somebody you have to have because if he hits and you don't have him, you've got that red arrow. Sterling hits. You don't have him, he hits, you're getting that red arrow. I mean, those are 2 that I can't see going forward without. And you may as well throw KDB in there as well. I mean, his numbers are just ungodly. Consistency's right up there with some of these other players like the Aubameyangs we were talking about that, do I want Aubameyang? I don't know. Maybe that's a mindset because right now I'm looking at my team and I'm looking for consistency. I want that 60 points a week. If I hit that 60, everything else is going to take care of itself. But right now I'm not seeing that. Why not go Aubameyang? I mean, if he ticks along with a goal, 2 goals every game, I could live with that. Like I said, I would be more than happy to take the points he has through 7 games and slap the captain on him.
So you're looking for consistency and ability to captain with your premiums.
I would much rather have the consistency than those players who hit every 3 to 4 weeks with a huge haul. Like we see from somebody like Aguero. He'll pop in, drop 3 goals, and maybe isn't seen for 2 weeks and come back with a goal or goal and assist the following week. I mean, I would much rather see. That'd be 106 points on Aubameyang alone if I had him and captained him every week from week 1.
Yeah, but Aguero hasn't blanked yet either.
No, he hasn't. But I mean, just looking at it with my team, I couldn't afford Aguero in there with the way things are set up. Well, anyway.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is a lot. Sterling's such a good asset that doubling up with Sterling and KDB and Aguero or tripling up there would be
and again
doable but very difficult.
And again, what concerns me with Aguero is Jesus is there, and we know Pep's penchant for rotation. It's more than
what.
The Pimps, yeah, we know the Pimps rotation at Man City.
Pep's pimping his players.
Pep's pimping his players. That's right.
So let's not talk about City more though, because I think the bottom line is all the City assets are must own and just buy 8 of them. But
I'm going to go with that Aguero all season long.
Buy 8 of them.
I'm not going with Aguero anytime this season. I'll tell you that.
Jesus gets injured, I guarantee you're going to change your mind.
No, I won't. Why would I?
He's getting 90 every week. Of course you're going to buy Aguero.
I can't fit him in. That means I give up Salah. or give up.
Well, yeah, I think if Aguero was getting 90 minutes every week, I would happily.
I'm sorry, I missed. If he were assured 90 minutes a week, yeah,
Like I'm saying, if Jesus got injured, then you get Aguero. But that's the difference. Yeah.
You think I would have wanted to do that into game week 3 though? I didn't see Aguero
but it was a 1 week thing with Jesus.
No, you're right.
It wasn't long.
It could have been. But talking about those players that we probably won't own.
What about Salah then? What do you think about Salah? Is he a season keeper?
He is. In my book, he is, just because of the explosiveness he has and that high ceiling that we know he has, and we have seen it before.
So you were just saying with Aubameyang, you'd rather have consistent than explosive.
Yeah, I know. And then I
So
say the complete opposite with Salah.
I guess is the big point here. Maybe you want a mix of explosive and consistent, because otherwise your sanity is going to suffer.
But you also look at the ownership. I mean, I don't even know what Aguero's ownership is. 29%. Okay. I mean, you just get those players who are so highly owned that they almost become someone you need to have in your starting 11. I mean, Salah's one of them. I'm sure before the season's over, De Bruyne is going to be right up there. I mean, top 1,000, he's owned by 88%. That's a huge number. Even across FPL, 42.3. He's just not 2 under Salah. So, in my book, I mean, Salah and De Bruyne, I mean, you should have those two in your team. Sterling, maybe not. Aguero, maybe not. But, I don't know how much.
Van Dijk at 47%.
That's across FPL, yeah, I know.
Yeah, but I guess the difference with him is most of his points can be covered by other players because they're clean sheet points. And so if you have Trent, then you're not so worried about the Van Dijk ownership because you're getting all those clean sheets anyways.
And I think this conversation leads into that roster construction, how much you depend on the template and versus what kind of divergent paths one takes, right? And what's that cutoff? For example, across all of FPL, Sterling's at 37.6%. Does that still make him essential? Then is Pookie as well at 44? Does it change with the price? Since Pookie's cheaper, he's less essential. So I don't know.
Like I said, I'm weird. I only watch the top 1,000. They're the movers for me. I mean, if I see a player in the top 1,000, chances are I want that player. Pookie's high across FPL and the top 1,000, and there's quite a similarity between the two groups. Some of them just don't make sense. Rico, what the hell's Rico doing in the top 1,000? That one just I can't wrap my head around that one.
He's free, and he's providing assists.
Perennial 2-pointer. 4.1, right? Yeah, what does he have? 1 assist, maybe 2? I don't know. I don't
know. So he missed 3 games. He has.
But I mean, you look at Bournemouth as a team. You don't see them as a big clean sheet team. I mean, I'd much rather have a Martin Kelly. I mean, granted, he came back this week and picked up 6 points. What a surprise! I didn't think he was honestly going to start this week, and he drops a 6.
If I knew he was going to start, I might have started him. He kind of stayed his first bench, but that's the way it goes.
Casey, you're right. It probably is a mix of both for me. I mean, I want to see consistency out of some of my highly owned players, and willing to take a gamble on the low to mid price players. But I would love to see a consistency of a De Bruyne over a 38 game season.
Yeah.
I know.
So what does that leave you for our Craptains?
I'm sorry,
so to speak, because you're gonna own multiple premium assets. So if you mix where you have the explosives,
it's a
let's
twister.
say you have the explosive
style. Sorry, your question was like lost in the wind.
Max Headroom. Max Headroom.
Sorry. Yeah. So
we're going all 80s today.
We are.
Am I back in Kansas?
You're back in the saddle, as Aerosmith would say.
Oh, gosh.
Blazing Saddles. Yes.
I'm sorry. Go. What was your
the white one?
What was the question?
So you're going to have multiple premiums, Stephen. So let's say you have an Aubameyang who's just or De Bruyne who's just going to tick along with six points every week. And you have your explosive player like Sterling, or you have Salah, who's kind of more explosive. Although in the past he was explosive and consistent, and now it almost feels like he's kind of consistent, kind of explosive, but at the same time also neither, if that makes sense. I mean, he blanks a little bit more than he used to, and I don't know.
Like
but
that
anyways,
8-point sellout from last year.
Yeah,
right
so that
that
8-point Salah from last year. So let's say that's Aubameyang from this year, where he's just getting 6, 7, 8 points every week.
It's 228 plus points a season.
Right, which is great. And then you also own Sterling, who's going to score, similar or probably more points than Aubameyang this year.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you captain? So let's say you own, if you're building your team where you have one explosive premium and maybe one less explosive premium who's very consistent, who should we be captaining? It's that kind of that classic question of
well sadly it's most likely going to be based on matchup and if they're home or away. I mean, I would love to set and forget Salah for 38 games, but that doesn't seem right. I mean, you get Salah playing a Man City, and it's like, I think there's a better captain option out there. Oh, there's Abraham playing.
Well, sure, you're not going to do it set and forget, but let's say that they have similarly good fixtures. So let's say that you have like Aubameyang for this upcoming run where all of them are good fixtures, and then you have Salah where, okay, some of them are good, some of them aren't, but you're going to have some good fixtures in there, like Aston Villa away or Brighton at home. Like,
I mean, honestly, the run Aubameyang is on right now for the next 3, I could see dropping the captain on Aubameyang and leaving it there for Bournemouth, Sheffield United, and Palace. Right, so
you're looking for the consistent.
Yeah,
you don't want the blanks, basically.
No, I want consistency. I want that 60 points a week. That's all I care about. Everything else will take care of itself in my book. Like the cheaters were talking about. And we talked about this last week. Where do you want your team to be by week 10? And everything I've heard from many managers, they're giving you a rank. Oh, I want to be the top 100,000. I want to be inside the top 10,000. I want 60 points a week by week 10. That's where I want my team to be, because I know at that point my team is going to have improved from where they are right now here in Game 7. I don't think I'm going to hit that, but that's my goal. I mean, that's 3 point something a week, 3.7 points or something like that. So I'm not far off. It may take 1 week and I could be right back up over that 60 points. So I want consistency in my starting 11. Yes, I like to have those players who have that excitability, who have those skills, who possess something to give us those hat tricks or those 2, 3, 4 goal games like an Aguero, the Salah, even Sterling to some degree, even Abraham. I mean, he's hit for the hat trick earlier this year. He probably could have had 2 goals last week, but I do want to see consistency out of my starting 11 every week. I don't need to see the big returns. Give me my 60. I'll be happy every week.
Gabe, I expect you're different. Do you have a different? I mean, last year you were the guy that had 600 plus.
Yeah.
500 plus and
500 plus weeks, and then 5 weeks that were 30 or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I expect you to have a different answer here.
And that's how that's how I enjoy the game more, I think.
You're not living on a prayer, are you, Gabe?
No, I'm just halfway there.
Settle down, sister.
Oh God, here we go.
I love it.
I mean, yeah, I want to captain the guy that scores a hat trick. That's what I want. That'll carry me through the month, And last year, the big a turning point was I brought in Sterling when he was still around 10% owned last year and captained him for his hat trick, and that catapulted me back up the rankings after dropping. So that's what I want to get. I want to try to predict when the players are going to spike based on form and fixtures and stats and eye test and all these ways that we fail in predicting these things. And I want to jump on that wave and ride it as hard as I can, and then jump off and jump onto the next wave. That's kind of how I play the game. So yeah, but obviously between the crests there are troughs, right? And those falls can be hard.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people are feeling right now, and they just, I guess maybe they're not seeing the larger picture. They have a lot of these players in their team that are kind of boomer bust. Like they own Sterling and Tammy and Pookie, and a lot of these players that are like brace and hat trick players, but also get quite a few blanks in between, and they just haven't had it all come together yet. And so right now they're just kind of feeling like they're treading water, but by owning these players, they're just 1 week away from 120 points. And all of a sudden they've gone up a million places in rank, and, they're where they want to be. So it is kind of like, if you're going to, I guess the point is, both of these strategies work. Stephen and Gabe, you both finished really, really close in rank last year, even despite having completely different strategies. But I think people need to realize that if they're going to set up their team with a lot of these high ceiling, less consistent players that will score lots of points over the season, but when you're zoomed down into a 1 or 2 or 3 game week window, you're going to have some disappointing times. And so they just need to know what they're getting into when they have these players and realize that they can just as quickly get out of that rut.
That actually had a bit of an epiphany as you're saying that, Casey. So when I brought Aubameyang in, I think it was my wild card. So I have all the players. I have Salah, I have Sterling, I have De Bruyne. If these players hit, you don't get that rush, right? Because everybody else has these players as well. You hit with the less owned players, and so I thought Aubameyang was going to be that player. I brought him in to be that player, and then I looked at, and then I was like, what am I doing? He's not that player. He's like all the rest of my players. He's just going to tick along. So that's why I kind of went with Son. I'm hoping Son can be that kind of more explosive differential, that when it's not working out, I can change him for somebody else, somebody that is hitting harder. And I think actually Tammy Abraham could be that as well with this run coming up. He already has been a little bit. He has his hat trick. But I think as far as when we take this experience of FPL and different ways of playing it back to roster construction, whereas I'll always want to have almost like a couple of holes in my roster so I can move on the different waves as they're popping up, and hopefully I get them right. But I haven't done that this year because I've filled those spots with players that tick. And so that's why I've been steady Steven this year.
Yeah.
One of the things I was going to mention, and I probably mentioned it in the past, in order to take advantage of these premiums like the Salahs, the Sterlings, I think you need to own them all 38 weeks. I mean, I owned Salah last year, came off him sometime mid-season for Kane and Eriksson, and it was looking good for like 2 weeks, and then Salah banged that hat trick, and everything went downhill after that. And, it was that point that, I knew my season was changing when I dropped Salah. So for me, I'm have no intentions of dropping Salah, Sterling, De Bruyne the remainder of the season. Hot or cold, those three are going to remain in my team the rest of the season, barring injury.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just interesting because we all have such different strategies. And I think a lot of people who are struggling right now just need to self-reflect on what is their strategy. Are you playing to your normal strategy? And if you are, you can't. I think a lot of people will hurt themselves by trying to change their FPL philosophy from something it has worked in the past because it hasn't worked over a 5 or 6 game week window this year. I think it's just too small to completely reevaluate how you're going to play. So you just need to kind of stick to your guns here. And I think a lot of people are hurting themselves by saying, oh, I used to be a 3-5-2 player, and now I have to play 3-4-3, even though I've never played 3-4-3, because people that are playing 3-4-3 have done well over 5 game weeks. And that's not predictive of what's going to happen in the future. So you might want to change. You obviously need to constantly be reevaluating, but I wouldn't do a complete overhaul of your strategy because it hasn't worked. Maybe just some tweaks here and there based on game week, year to year, or just something you're seeing that might be slightly different than previous years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, nobody was really on 3-4-3 to start the season, though, either. I mean,
the people in the top 1,000 right now were on 3-4-3 to start the year, and we all kind of laughed at them because that strategy hasn't worked for like 6 years.
25%. I mean, 4-4-2 was 48% for week one. I mean, but yeah, you're right. 3-4-3.
But I mean, it's just.
grown.
I mean, it was categorically a bad strategy last year and the year before, and so the people that started out this year were either
dumb,
very brave, or kind of dumb. Yeah, and they've lucked into kind of dumb luck.
Very true.
And so it's probably
either the extreme of stupidity or genius.
It's probably a mixture. There's probably some people that saw something or took a risk and thought, you know what, I'm going to play it 3-4-3 because I love Aguero and I'm going to take a punt on like Callum or Pookie or someone like that, or they quickly realized that Tammy's nailed, he's going to be great value, and they brought him in really fast. And those are the people that are flying right now. And then there's I think an equal amount of people that are above most people in rank right now that are kind of lucked into that, and I don't know if they'll be able to sustain that high rank above some of the more experienced players. So don't panic. I guess that's how I would. I still am in the don't panic category.
It's like the eye in the sky looking at you. I can read your mind, but yeah, we're definitely not the Alan Parsons Project. But yeah, anyway, I do think that's a good call, Casey. Play your game. Sort of roll with the punches. Be flexible. I know a lot of people spoke of that ahead of the year. You can't get locked into a formation or a player. And I know as I said, I was locked into 3 players, but formation especially. I mean, you see Pookie go south, you see Abraham go south. I don't think you're going to want to stay on 3 forwards. It may even shift back to the premiums. We're seeing that now with Aguero and Aubameyang playing so well.
Yeah. It's not a binary. It's not this binary thing either.
Very fluid.
It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to play 3-4-3 to recognize that there's more value than we expected in the forward line, and to shift money there. You can shift money there without going 3-4-3.
Mm-hmm.
You can all of a sudden, I start with Diego Jota. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, very good. Very good.
Okay, so I started in a 4-5-1 with just one, with Diego Jota up front, and I realized that it wasn't a good strategy. But I'm not going to the other extreme and playing 3-4-3 either. I've shifted money up there, and I'm playing with 2 strikers. So I mean, you don't have to go from one extreme to another.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's stop that conversation. And who wants to run down the podcast league? We'll take a look at the top 5 here in the extremes of stupidity and genius, where I think half of the roundtable are now up in the top 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Garth snuck in there, didn't he? Let's start at we actually have 2 new arrivals to the top 5. Start with James from at Planet FPL Pod. Nice game week score of 66. Jumps the Miles Offside podcast. Mob 'em Sock 'em Rockets. They dropped to 6th there. Robots, thanks. Garth with a
Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. Anyway.
Garth, at FPL Shark, our fourth counterpart here on the pod, jumps with a very nice game week score of 69 up into 4th place. Well, I guess they're tied, right? They both have a total score of 410 points. Garth and James do. Alon pushing his way forward with an average 51 points this game week. He's up to 413. He's in 3rd. I remain in 2nd, just barely 2 points above Alon here. We talked about my game week of 49. I'm at 415 points. And still holding up the top is Blake from at that FPL podcast. Game week score of 60, above the average. Total score of 445 points. It's like he's having a solid season. And then in the other extreme of this of the league of extremes of stupidity and genius here, we go at number 18. Marco, he up from 19, which he was up from 20 the week before, so continues his steady climb. Hopefully it stops there because the roundtable team is just above him. At 19, Steve O from Elite FPL continues his free fall. He'll be getting close to the bottom with that. The fantasy plonker still kind of bringing up the rear there. Three-piece with a soda, 51-point game week average, but he's still down there at 372 points. But give these podcasts a listen. They have really great takes, great perspectives, and they help inform everything we do here on our podcast. So we appreciate them being a part of the league, and yeah, hopefully it's fun for everyone, and the roundtable wins in the end.
Any final thoughts from either one of you for ahead of game week 10? Sorry, game week 10. Wow. Let's try. It's like I have Bo Derek and 10 on my head. Sorry. Let's try game week 8. It is game week 8, right? Yes, it is.
Game week 8. Casey,
I don't know where 10 came from.
That's your goal. That's where you set your goal. You need your 60 points by game week 10.
There you go.
And Bo Derek's your goal too.
At one time, yes.
You know, I don't really have any last minute advice or wisdom. I think I just need to go find my nearest jukebox and play some of these tunes that Stephen keeps calling out here.
You should rock this town tonight with Little Stray Cats, okay? Gabe.
I do have a couple things here. One, we were kind of discussing on Twitter regarding the KDB, the Kevin De Bruyne injury, and they're estimating it's approximately a 3-week injury, if that. We haven't heard anything, and we're waiting for tests and all of that. And everybody should be waiting to make their transfers anyway, given the Champions League fixtures. But yeah, if it is 3 weeks, that could mean as little as 1 game, maybe 2 games. So just think of the money you have invested there, and how if you might want to bring KDB back, if you get rid of him, it may be a little more difficult to bring back, and with that inflated price tag. What else? Did anybody see the game? The big game today, Bayern Spurs?
No.
Okay, so that's something to.
Are Spurs good or are Spurs bad?
It tells me that Watford may have a chance against Spurs.
7-2. Should have been 8-1. It was quite the demolition, and the only reason I bring that up really is to think of, me as a Sun owner. It concerns me a little bit if they are in shambles, if they're going through some sort of crisis. Just something to keep in mind.
All right. Well, thanks for spending some time with us here at the FPL Roundtable ahead.
Wait, one more. Sorry.
Game week 7.
Game week 7. We have 2 transfers on the pod team.
Oh, the pod team. That's right.
The pod team. We could do both. We could do 1 and have 2 for the international break. I'm
all about 2 out of the break.
Yeah.
So just 1 this week, then.
We have 1.4 in the bank. No obvious player really to remove.
If Haller had not picked up that assist, I would say he's gone, even with the run of fixtures they have coming up. But his assist last week has given me a stay of execution for this week. So that's the only one that on our team that looks like maybe
we have the exact money to go Haller to Vardy, don't we?
Vardy, yeah, we do. And Palace is good away defensively, so that's what I was thinking.
Problem is getting Vardy in for Liverpool this week really sucks.
But does it? That's where he scores, right?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, he would be a hell of a differential.
Oh no, we don't have enough.
Not 1.
We're 0.1.
Oh no, Hilaire's 7. We bought him at 7.4, not 7.5.
Yeah.
Okay. It comes back to bite us that not 1, not in the bank.
Honestly, it's probably for the best. We probably shouldn't go Haller to Vardy. So I don't
So
know.
we need a transfer that frees up not one.
Yes, to bring Vardy in. Well, I mean,
Yeah. Well, for next week. Why don't we
yeah.
go?
We want to get rid of Van Dijk.
Why don't we go? No. Why don't we go Wickham to Greenwood?
Yeah.
Greenwood plays every week, gets a point. Wickham 4.5, injured for probably now until forever.
Yeah, that's the call.
Wow, one bench player for another.
It strengthens the bench and it gives us
It
0.1.
does. It does.
I don't know.
See,
I mean,
isn't
the rest
everybody
of the
glad they stayed for this incredibly important
spend
transfer?
at least another 20 minutes on this. Okay, so we need to go in depth on why Greenwood is a better option than Wickham.
Anybody know if Vardy is about to rise?
No, I don't think so.
He's not.
Not last time I looked. Vardy.
Plus, we'll have 2 transfers next week, and if we're going to spend them both, we'll still have
he's only about 53.4% progress, so it's 2+ days. So I don't see him rising before Friday.
Okay, so there we go.
McGinn, Lundstrom, Soy Sauce, those 3 maybe. But all right. Well, again, thank you for spending a little bit of time with us here at the FPL Roundtable. You can find us on Twitter at FPL Roundtable, as well as on YouTube. Just type in FPL Roundtable at the search. We do record all the videos, so if you'd rather watch the hilarity ensue as opposed to just listen, then go for it. So good luck to Casey, Gabe, and our missing our fourth wheel here, Garth, this week. Hopefully we, as well as you, see a green arrow. It's always a thin line between the extremes of stupidity and genius, as the FPL Roundtable will return next week. Thank you for listening.